What if the growing political push to regulate or even ban VPNs has almost nothing to do with national security and everything to do with good old-fashioned corporate greed and government control? I've seen it all. For nearly 25 years, I worked at the DOJ, where I investigated some of the largest antitrust cases in the country. Now in retirement, I'm working for you. Welcome to the Antitrust Insider. For years, we've been told that virtual private networks are a tool for criminals and terrorists, a narrative carefully crafted to make you afraid. But at the same time, how many YouTube channels have you seen that have a VPN service as a sponsor? I know I've used a VPN, and you might have also. But right now, there are powerful lobbyists attempting to outlaw digital privacy and create a captive, controllable online audience. Segment 1, the National Security Smokescreen. To understand the real game, you first have to understand the public facade. The argument against VPNs, the one you hear in congressional hearings and on news segments, is almost always framed around two key issues: national security and copyright enforcement. We're told that VPNs provide anonymity for bad people, terrorists coordinating attacks, hackers stealing state secrets, and criminals operating on the dark web. And on the surface, that seems like a reasonable concern. Now, as it relates to copyright enforcement, media companies argue that VPNs are widely used to circumvent geographic licensing restrictions. This means accessing streaming services like Netflix or Paramount Plus from a country where the content isn't officially available. The media companies call this digital piracy on a massive scale, robbing them of billions. The obvious and critical flaw in that argument is that these piracy issues are not new problems created by VPNs. Criminals have always used encrypted communications long before VPNs were a consumer product. And digital piracy existed in the era of Napster and LimeWire long before geo-blocking was a thing. So why now? Why this intense, coordinated focus on a tool that millions of ordinary people use for legitimate privacy? The answer is that the national security and privacy narrative is basically an excuse to get public support for a campaign that in reality is about reestablishing corporate and government control over the digital world. Segment 2, the corporate puppeteers. VPNs take control of the digital world and put it back into the hands of regular people. So the push for restrictive VPN laws is being bankrolled by a powerful alliance that aims to stop that. First, you have the legacy media and streaming giants. Companies like Disney, Netflix, and Warner Bros. Discovery all have a fundamental business problem in today's market. The global internet has made their old geographic licensing models obsolete.
You are obsolete.
But I'm not obsolete.
They used to sell the rights to their shows and movies country by country, maximizing profit in each territory. A VPN shatters that model. It allows consumers in, say, Germany to access the larger and cheaper US Netflix library. For these companies, a VPN stops being a simple privacy tool and is seen as a form of arbitrage that destroys their carefully carved up piece of the global pie. Their lobbying efforts are aimed at forcing VPN providers to comply with strict geo-blocking demands or face being shut down. Second, and even more powerful, are the telecom and internet service providers. This includes giants like AT&T, Verizon, and Comcast. For them, your data is a product. They have a long history of wanting to analyze, package, and sell your browsing habits to advertisers and data brokers. This is a practice known as behavioral advertising. A VPN encrypts your traffic, making it invisible to your ISP, and this is the component that concerns them the most. They can't see what you're doing, which means they can't monetize it. Furthermore, without VPNs, ISPs have the power to throttle your bandwidth for certain services like streaming video, or to create fast lanes for companies that pay them extra. A world where VPNs are restricted is a world where your ISP regains total control over your internet experience, turning the open web into a tiered controlled utility where they get a cut of every single digital transaction. This powerful alliance of media and telecom giants funds trade associations and lobbying groups that operate in the shadows of Capitol Hill. They draft legislation and push narratives that serve their financial interests, all while wearing the public-facing mask of security and protecting intellectual property. Segment 3, a gated digital future. On Capitol Hill, the idea of banning or regulating VPNs is not a tough sell. There are people in government that absolutely love the idea because it would give them more control too. If these lobbyists succeed, we're headed toward a gated digital future, which means, first, that you would lose the ability to shop around for better prices. Geo-blocking doesn't just apply to movies, it applies to software, games, airline tickets, and even car rentals. Prices are often artificially inflated in certain countries. A VPN is often the consumer's only tool to fight back against this form of pricing. Second, it would be a devastating blow to freedom of the press and access to information. Journalists, influencers, and ordinary citizens rely on VPNs to bypass government censorship and to access uncensored news. If Western nations under corporate pressure legitimize the idea that VPNs should be heavily restricted, it gives a green light to media outlets that only push a government-approved narrative while totally silencing any opposing views. So the push to ban VPNs isn't just about stopping you from watching a different country's Netflix. It's about building a digital world that is dictated by your physical location and corporate profit margins while stripping away the very anonymity and freedom that made the internet a major force for global communication and commerce in the first place. If you're tired of a system rigged by powerful interests, my book, How to Beat the System, is your playbook for fighting back. It takes the same investigative mindset we just used and applies it to the bureaucratic complexity you face every day. I give you the step-by-step tools that I use at the DOJ to challenge the system and force fairness. Scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description. It's time to stop being a victim of the system and start beating it. Segment 4, Final Thoughts. The next time you hear a politician or a pundit talk about the dangers of VPNs, I want you to listen with new ears. Listen for the unspoken assumptions, and most importantly, listen for the corporate talking points dressed up as public safety concerns. Banning or regulating VPNs is not about stopping terrorists, okay? It's about stopping you from having choice, privacy, and consumer power online. Will the internet remain a relatively open forum of global connection, or will it become a tightly controlled, scrutinized space where every click or opinion is monitored, metered, and monetized? The lobbyists are counting on you not paying attention. Don't give them what they want. What are your thoughts about VPNs and the lobbying to regulate or ban them? Comment below and please share this video. If you found this video helpful and informative, please hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay honest, and come back for more Antitrust Insider.